Hello, grade 8. How are you today? Welcome to another lesson for social sciences. Are you good, everyone? I can see newcomers today. Welcome. I saw a Tinashe. How are you, Tinashe? Lisedi, hi. Are you good? I saw a Tinashe. Hello, Tinashe. Is it your first time? Oh, welcome. Welcome to online school. So you're just learning from your coach, from your sofa. I hope everyone is good. People are still coming in, I can see. How are the assessments? How are your tests going for other subjects? Oh, they are good. I hope you are passing in all subjects, eh? Okay, not bad. All right. Cool. All right, let's proceed. Those who are coming in, they'll catch us on. Okay, so today we're going to start the Industrial Revolution. Okay. The Industrial Revolution in Britain and Southern Africa. For those who were there in week 1, we did this. You still remember? So we're just going to revise again the same topic. Remember, this topic, you did it in term 1. Okay. So we are going to write a test tomorrow for social sciences. I'm going to assess you on this topic as well for the history part. Industrial Revolution in Britain, in Southern Africa. So we're going, the objective of the lesson, we're going to look at the changes during the Industrial Revolution in Britain and the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in South Africa, brought about by diamond mining and Britain's increasing interest in South Africa. So that is our main focus, okay? So today's topic, hello, Katlego. All right. For today's topic, we're going to look at changes during the Industrial Revolution in Britain. The wealth from slave trade, the economy before the Industrial Revolution, what the Industrial Revolution was, also the social changes during the Industrial Revolution, the labor resistance, the trade union movement, and working class organizations. Also the increased power and wealth of Britain and Western European economies. Okay. Hello, Natalie. You just came in now. No, we are not doing a quiz. We are going through the Industrial Revolution in Britain in preparation for tomorrow, okay? Lisa, did you want to do a quiz? Okay, so we're just revising the term 1 topic. Others are new, so they'll be learning about Industrial Revolution, okay? Others, you were here in the first week, so you know about this. All right. So this is what we're going to look at today. Let's start by the wealth from slave trade. Remember, there was wealth which was being brought by the trade of slaves, which also contributed to what? To this Industrial Revolution. May you please stop with your comments that are not related to the lesson. Okay. If you've got nothing to say related to the lesson, please reserve your comments, okay? Others are new today. Okay, grade 8. Good. Let's proceed. So we're starting with wealth from slave trade. You remember the transatlantic slave trade? You did this in grade 7 for the history. So this slave trade contributed enormously to the economic growth of Europe and America. That is the question that I asked you during the quiz, and you failed to answer. What contributed to the economic growth of Europe and America? It was the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. British Empire benefited a lot because Britain played the biggest part in the slave trade. So the British, they gained a lot because they were playing a big role in the slave trade. The ports and cities in Britain became very rich. Why? How did they become very rich, those ports and cities? Because main income came from taxes on imports and exports collected when ships passed through the ports. So remember, the ships were passing those through those ports, selling slaves, and also there was a collection of taxes. So that is how Britain became very rich. Britain also exported textiles, manufactured goods, other commodities to Africa. Guns were also in great demand in Africa. And Britain made poor quality guns for the African market and made a huge profit selling them. Remember that question that I asked in the quiz? Britain was making poor quality guns. Okay, so they were selling these poor quality guns to the Africans, and then they will make a lot of profit by that. Also, other individuals became very rich, especially those in politics. So if you were a politician that time, isn't those people, they are connected, they became very rich. So that is how the British economy was boosted through slavery, slave trade, imports and exports. Do you understand? The collection of taxes. All right. I hope you are listening. Now, how was the economy before the Industrial Revolution? Remember, the economy changed after the Industrial Revolution, but how was it before the Industrial Revolution? Before the Industrial Revolution, most of the population lived in the countryside and practiced farming. So they were doing what? Agricultural activities, farming, before the Industrial Revolution. Local peasant farmers leased the land from wealthy owners who owned large areas of land. So there were also peasant farmers who were under the wealthy owners, the rich farmers. The land used by peasants was small and was used for subsistence farming only. You remember the question that I asked for subsistence farming. So these peasants, they were just doing the farming for their families, to support their families, to grow food for their families. They were not selling the agricultural products. It was for subsistence farming only. In the early 1700s, new developments like inventions, new farming methods, and enclosure system took place, which increased agricultural production. Now you remember I asked this question, what increased agricultural production? I was just taking from these notes. I wanted to see how much you know. What increased agricultural production? New inventions, new farming methods, and also the enclosure system. Okay. Therefore, farming activities contributed food and labor force necessary to keep this revolution going. So for this industrial revolution to take place effectively, it was boosted by the what? By the agricultural activities, the farming that was happening. Because this farming was contributing what? Food. And the labor force, those people were working. So this brought about what? The industrial revolution that was going to come. So always remember the economy before the industrial revolution, farming, agriculture was the way of life for the British. Okay. And then we move on. We're still on the economy before the industrial revolution. There was also this the industry which was called cottage industry. Cottage industry. This also contributed to the industrial revolution economy. What is this cottage industry? It is a home-based industry where manufacturing of goods was done. For example, the sewing clothes and so forth. So it was called cottage industry. Just imagine at your place, at your house, maybe your parents they are making clothes to sell. So it was called cottage industry. It's a home-based industry. Okay. So it's very important to remember this cottage industry. It always comes in the exam. Explain what is cottage industry. So you should be able to explain that. Now, business operators and merchants started traveling around, buying raw materials and delivering them to people who worked on them, the merchants. So these were the people who were traveling around, exchanging goods, trading, buying and selling, delivering them to people. They were called merchants. Then they collected the finished goods to sell to other products, to other markets. So they were doing a lot, these merchants. So they were traveling around in those cottage industries, in the homes. Cottage industry was profitable. So a lot of money was being made. Merchants became experienced in imports and exports. As they were traveling around, buying raw materials, exchanging, trading, they also became what? Experienced in what they were doing in imports and exports. People developed skills that were needed in the factories. Now, with the work that they were doing at home in the cottage industry, they gained what? Different skills now. And these skills were going to help them in the factories that were being brought by the Industrial Revolution. So they were going to work in those factories using those skills, which was a good thing. Okay, so that was the economy before the Industrial Revolution. Okay, grade 8, I hope you are listening. The Industrial Revolution, what was this Industrial Revolution? The Industrial Revolution was a change that began in Britain. And I see an answer there. So they were allowing unskilled people to come work for them. Natalie, is that a question or a statement? Okay, let's proceed. It was a move from working on the land to working in manufacturing. So we are describing the Industrial Revolution now. New ideas, inventions, and methods led to new developments. Okay. So that was the Industrial Revolution. It was a shift from working on the land to working in manufacturing. Okay. All right. Let's proceed. What the Industrial Revolution was on this diagram, you can see the effect of Industrial Revolution. So here we've got the rural economy. People were working on the land before. And then they shifted to the urban economy, manufacturing and commerce. If you can see the diagram. I can see your charts. I hope you are focusing on the lesson grade 8. Okay, because when I did the quiz, I saw that you don't know anything about Industrial Revolution. So I hope you are listening. Okay. So this diagram, I was saying it is showing the shift from what? From the agricultural activities to the manufacturing and commerce. So this is the Industrial Revolution. Okay, from working on the land to urban economy. Now, what were the social changes during the Industrial Revolution? Remember, the way people lived in the community, in the society, it had to change because of this Industrial Revolution. So what are the social changes that took place? Urbanization took place. What is urbanization? When people leave rural areas for the city. Okay. Urbanization, a shift from rural area to urban. Okay. May you please stop with the private chats? Grade 8. Natalie, may you please stop that? Stop the private chats, please. Okay. All right. So we're talking of social changes. I was saying urbanization took place. People were moving from the rural area to the urban area. The working class were working in harsh conditions. So the working class were working in harsh conditions. Those people who were working in the industries, the conditions were very bad. Okay. Child labor increased. So a lot of children were working in the factories. So it also increased. Overcrowded housing for the workers. If I have a problem, I won't allow you to the lesson next time. Okay. We don't want problems, please. Okay. Can I have respect? All right. There was overcrowded housing for the workers. Remember, there were houses that were built for the workers, and they were being overcrowded in those houses. So those were the social changes that were happening. Okay. And then this led to more diseases affecting people as they were overcrowded. more diseases. Sorry about that. More diseases started to affect people. Increasing new inventions of machinery caused unemployment. As this industrial revolution was taking place, remember there were new inventions that were coming in, new inventions of machinery, equipment, tools. So it meant that people were no longer needed because some of the machines could do the work. So it caused what? Unemployment. Do you understand? Okay. So these are the social changes that happened during the Industrial Revolution. Remember, I asked about them in the quiz. So make sure you remember. Maybe about three or four of them, okay? You're supposed to be able to explain what are the social changes that happened during the Industrial Revolution. In other words, they are asking you about the way people were living, okay? So you have to mention a few points there. And then we look at the labor resistance, the trade union movement, and working class organization. Now, remember, there were other labor-related issues, forms of resistance from people, and other trade union movements that were developed. Okay. So let's go through them and see. Okay. So resistance by people. There were two forms of resistance that occurred: the swing riots and the Luddites. You remember I asked about this, swing riots and Luddites. The swing riots and Luddites. You're supposed to know these two. What are the swing riots? What are the Luddites? It's very important. So these two were two forms of resistance by people in the way they were working in Britain. And then the formation of trade union. So a trade union was formed, which was called the Grand National Consolidated Trade Unions, GNCTU, to protect workers' rights. So in other words, the rights to protect the rights of the workers. Okay. So this trade union, GNCTU, was developed. Also, the establishment of the National Association of United Trades for the Protection of Labor in 1845. So these two, they are trade union movements and working class organizations that were formed. This is the resistance by people. So all of this is related to what? To the labor that we see here. Okay, so always remember about the swing riots and the Luddites. Okay, grade 8. And then we look at the increased power and wealth of Britain and Western European economies. How did the power and the wealth of Britain increase? European economies became powerful because of the effects of Industrial Revolution. So this Industrial Revolution was a massive thing. It boosted the European economy. Investors and financial institutions were needed to provide money. So as this Industrial Revolution was taking place, more investors were needed, more financial institutions like banks, they were needed to provide what? Money. Capitalists took over the control and organization of manufacturing. Do you know what is a capitalist? Do you know what is a capitalist? Just research for yourself. Find out what does a capitalist do. Okay, so they took over the control and organization of manufacturing. Therefore, the Industrial Revolution gave Europe the economic system and technology to dominate much of the world in the colonial period. So because the Industrial Revolution made Britain and Europe to be strong, to have strong economies, this led to what? Colonization of other countries, because they had so much power, because their economies were strong. They had all the money, they had all the wealth because of this Industrial Revolution. So it resulted into colonization, which took place. That's when they started to colonize Africa, you remember? Okay. So that is the increased power and wealth of Britain. Oh, we've come to the end. I want you to research on these key terms, grade 8. It's not for fun, yeah? Take a screenshot or write the terms down. Research on them. Research on these key terms. Know them. What do they mean? So quickly write the names down, the terms, or you can take a screenshot. Indicate for me when you're done. Is term 1 work, Tinashe? We are revising term 1 because we are writing a test on term 1 topics. Okay, and then your homework. This is your homework. Those 6 questions, copy them. Indicate for me when you're done. That's good, Helen. Katlego, thank you. Hlalhla, good. Tinashe, done. Homo, done. Lesedi, done. Mosa, done. So try as much as possible to explain in your own understanding, in your own words. Do you understand? It will be easier for you to remember if you do that. Yes. Are there any questions? Yes, Helene, I do. Why, Helene? Why do you ask, Helene? Oh, okay. So there are no questions, you're fine? I'm also teaching grade 7 and 8, oh, and 9. 7 and 9. Same subject. Okay, so I'll see you same time tomorrow. Okay, take care. If there are no questions, bye.